Deep knowledge of evil will straighten you out. I have a feeling that I am going to agree with what is said in this clip by Jordan Peterson, because I have read about deep evil of late, and it's definitely straightened me out to a certain extent with regard to my perspective of human beings and the fact that all this prosperity that I see in in the world is it's not the default setting. And so let's watch this clip and let's see what Dr. Jordan Peterson, the Canadian psychologist and YouTube lecturer and provocateur in certain circles, has to say about deep knowledge of evil and whether or not it can straighten us all out.
Firstly, I want to say thank you so much. That was an amazing talk. And I was wondering if you could elaborate. What I notice a lot, I go here to UBC, is that a lot of students and young people, they're often desensitized to, for example, the atrocities that communism or ideologies that forge terrorism.
I don't know if they're desensitized.
Maybe some sort of Stockholm syndrome that I'm seeing.
I think they just don't know.
People are just, they're like trapped and they feel in a way they can't do anything about it. And then they start to like communism, or they start to see more socialist or adopt socialist policies that in the end will get them killed, will get them hurt. I was wondering if you kind of elaborate on what you think can be done about that, or even if something can be done in that respect.
Well, I think something can be done. I mean, I've been trying to educate people about the horrors of the Nazi regime and the Soviet regime in particular. I've concentrated mostly on those two because that's good enough. And trying to let people know that it was through the fault of people much like them that those systems arose, and that there are steps you can take to limit the probability that you would participate in such a thing, and that those steps are associated with trying to be truthful in your speech and actions, because the stability of those systems depends on the willingness of individuals to lie. And also on your willingness to take responsibility for the malevolence in your own heart that manifests itself in those social movements. And so that when I do my lectures, when I do talks like this, when I put them on YouTube, what I'm trying to do is exactly that, because that was the best pathway forward through such things that I could think up over 20 years of thinking about it. No one is so habituated to suffering that they can read the Gulag Archipelago, which is actually quite hard to read.
It is. Without
having it affect them. Like, you're psychopathic if that book doesn't affect you. You know, it should, if you read it properly, it affects you deeply. And it's not the only example of that kind of literature. So the people who are habituated aren't. They've just been shown low-resolution representations of things they don't understand that look vaguely bad. They don't know a damn thing about them. And our education system has done a tremendously appalling job of educating young people about the absolute catastrophe of radical leftism.
We know.
Now, it's not much better with
I saw one documentary on
say,
Stalin in college, or in high school,
I would
and
say
that's
on
it.
average people are more aware of that. But they don't, but it's shallow knowledge. So you make the knowledge deep, and deep knowledge changes people and wakes them up. You know, I mean, the only reason that I ever got convinced that that good and evil were real, more real than anything else, wasn't because I learned that good was real. That's hard. That's hard. It's hard to learn that. You have to find examples of transcendent good, you know. They're rare. Evil, all you have to do is look.
Yeah.
You read history.
Yes.
And read it like it's about you.
That's a great point.
And there's no way that you can do that without a transformation. But people won't do it. It's like, you want to imagine yourself as an Auschwitz guard? That's a rough thing, you see, because you have to figure out. See, Jung said if you confronted the shadow, which is the dark side of people, the aggressive side, the malevolent side, that it really reaches all the way down to hell. And Dante sort of was trying to put forward the same thing when he wrote the Inferno, right, with the levels of evil, right, because it was a voyage through the levels of evil right to the bottom. He thought the bottom was betrayal. It's pretty good. The center of malevolence is betrayal. I like that because to betray someone, you have to get them to trust you, and trust is a moral virtue, right? Especially if it's courageous trust, because it puts you in alignment with other people and allows you to move forward into life. And if you betray that, it's like a knife in the heart through the back. Especially if it's someone who loves you, betrays you. And especially if they betray you for your virtues. That's a really nice twist. So, I believe, because I think that people are capable of good, that if they know enough about evil, that will straighten them out.
Yes.
So, but who wants that? You know, this is one of the things I really like about Jung. He's often regarded as a New Age thinker. That's wrong. He's no New Age thinker. He knew that the pathway to enlightenment was barred by the necessity of a passage through hell. And that no one was going to do that. That's why there isn't a world full of enlightened people, you might say. Like, if it was just a matter of doing nice things, following your bliss, let's say, however you might put it, then why wouldn't everyone walk up the stairway to heaven? That isn't how it works. That's not how it works at all. I don't think you can be convinced of the necessity for moral action until you understand exactly how dark and terrible things can get, and that it's your fault.
You have to have that as a
getting that way.
motivation to go up.
Who wants to think that? So, you can think it though, but not without it burning you.
Jordan Peterson made an amazing point in there. I have often thought, I've often thought that the only way that you can really understand what great good is if you understand what great evil is. And, what he was basically saying there is it's like, look, if you really look at evil for what it is, like hardcore, you will be so afraid of it, you'll do everything you can do to work against it, to work for the good. But if you don't have that understanding of what great evil is, you might actually end up committing it. And, man, that was a great clip. And I have noticed that often, it's not necessarily like reading about God or Christianity that makes me more religious or more religiously inclined. It's often just reading about just pure evil. It's like reading about satanic acts actually makes me believe not only that Satan exists, but also that God exists. It makes me believe in God more. It makes me believe in the good more, because I'm like, golly, there's got to be something other than this evil. And I have some books. I've done reviews for all of these books, but these books detail great evil and great good within them. But they really, they force you to just wrestle with yourself, and I think that's good. And so I want to recommend them. Jordan Peterson, he recommended The Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. I've read volume 1, and I did like a full review and analysis on this channel. I'll leave it in a card and an end screen over this. Reading this book, it absolutely, I had to wrestle with the evil of the Soviet Union and just the evil that was illustrated in this book. And I've got 2 more volumes, and man, it really made me go, wow, like, in order to appreciate the good in life, you've got to read something like this, because if you don't, you'll just take things for granted. And man, you can't take things for granted, man, because this is real. This evil stuff happened. And so I would recommend this to sort yourself out, reading about the evil within this to help sort yourself out. I would also recommend Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. Now, this is also just a book of great good, but there's great evil illustrated in it regarding the Japanese POW camps. And man, this book, they made a movie on it. The movie's not very good, but I highly recommend reading the book, because it really shows that it juxtaposes good and evil like right next to each other. And you've got this guy, Louis Zamperini, in the middle of it. It's a true story, who has to deal with both the good and the bad within him, and the good and bad that he experiences in his life. And then this book, Empire of the Summer Moon by S.C. Gwynn. This tells the story of the rise and fall of the Comanche tribe in America. And this book will absolutely give you a great understanding of not only how gray history is, but just how you'll read some of the most evil things you've ever come across in this book. And it again is one of those books that made me go, man, you got to sort yourself out. Like this, you got to work against allowing humanity to devolve to what it was in the 1700s and 1800s. I mean, deep knowledge of evil will straighten you out. It will prove to you that good exists, and it will motivate you to pursue it. I'll leave cards and end screens for all three of those books concerning my reviews and my thoughts on each of them. But I highly recommend you check each of those videos out, and I recommend that you read some of those books, or at least one of those books, because, yeah, I totally agree with Dr. Peterson. It's hard to find really great examples of good, but the examples of evil that are out there, they're so plentiful. All you have to do is just look, and if you really look at evil for what it is, then it can profoundly change you. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts on the clip. Now I want to know, what did you think of the Jordan Peterson clip? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Leave whatever thoughts and comments you may have in the comment section below of this video. And as always, if you like this video, please like it and subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, and don't be evil.